And we are live for some Week 3 Chairleague action on Infernal Shrines. My name is Terraspaz, and I'm here to bring you an excellent match between Unstable on the blue team and House of Chez on the red team. Chez, kind of depends how awake and sober and drunk you might be in terms of how you pronounce House of Chez's name. We're opening up with a couple quick bans on Sylvanas and Falstad from Unstable and Chez, respectively. Sylvanas can definitely prolong the life of the Punisher, so not a huge surprise there for a ban. And Falstad can rack up a bit of an experience lead prior to the objective by warping in at the last minute, so something that Chez is clearly afraid of. Unstable picking up Sarah Kerrigan, the Queen of Blades, as their first pick. Definitely a favored hero on Infernal Shrines. You can keep your health pool and your shield pool just in the stratosphere, just leaping from minion to minion when the objective pops. So we'll see how that plays out for her. Meanwhile, Tyrael, a good pickup for House of Chez, not only for his good ability to hold down a point to put area of effects down that give his team buffs and discourage enemy combatants from going through small choke points, but more importantly, it denies that Kerrigan Tyrael super combo that we've been seeing here in the last couple months. Sanctification making Kerrigan just go whole ham on anything she wants to go to in a small confined area, of which this map has plenty. Zagara is going to be their first big damage dealer on the map. I guess that's one of the reasons they wanted to remove Falstad from play, as Zagara can maintain a presence all over the map almost simultaneously with a Nidus network that hopefully she'll be able to maintain. One of the biggest challenges playing Zagara is just keeping up that creep where you want it to go. It's going to be a high priority target, and so far Unstable doesn't have a whole lot of good tools shown to remove creep, but there's plenty of draft to go. I'm sure that might come here in a bit. Zul's going to be their specialist of choice, another big, heavy damage dealer to go alongside Kerrigan. Can definitely put a hurting on those minion waves. I don't know what they're called. I know it's been said, and I know it's been all over the map when they were out, but I don't know if they're minions, I don't know if they're creep, I don't know if they're traveling hobos. I'm not sure what they are, but Zul and Kerrigan very good at dealing with them regardless. Rhaegar is going to be the support for Unstable as they head into the round of bans. Rhaegar has a great deal of value here, especially if you have a high value target like Kerrigan, who's going to be in the front, going to be ripping apart damage, and you want to make sure she survives that first wave of abilities from House of Chez. So Ancestral certainly a good tool to use to that end. Not to mention the lightning shields can just get that little bit of extra damage in those small confined areas. ETC is going to be taken off the board for House of Chez. Unstable still need some big beefy frontliners to help Kerrigan push through. So it's a good tool to remove with that in mind. Unstable have a lot of options for their ban. One of the advantages of going first is your enemy team only really gets one round of picks before you get to kind of see what they're doing and then take away another hero. So Ariel's going to be the pick from Unstable taken off the board. The Sweeping Strike, I imagine, is very good at dealing with the traveling hobos. I haven't seen them myself, but I haven't played her myself on this map, but I imagine it's fairly good. Additionally, with small clusters of people, you can really get a lot of value out of healing from her. So I can see why Unstable would want to say no. We'll not deal with that today. Thank you very much. Kael'thas is going to be the pick from House of Chez, probably the most patched hero in the history of any game ever. Kael'thas can just dump a whole bunch of damage into the traveling hobo boxcar that they'll be fighting over for sure, and that's going to cause a bit of an issue here for both Zul and Kerrigan, as they're going to want to be in the thick of things, so it's going to be hard for them to avoid some of that damage coming out from Kael'thas. So certainly a high priority target for Unstable. And Brightwing, they're just they are very you can see that House of Chez really prioritizes global presence. They wanted to take away Falstad from Unstable, they picked up Zagara and now Brightwing to make sure they can maintain any experience lead they can and still have heroes at the objective at the last minute. So very good, very dangerous pick for Unstable with that Brightwing. Polymorph can just crucially shut off one hero for, I don't know what the time is, but it feels like an eternity if you've been hit by it, and it never feels long enough if you're Brightwing. So definitely a lot of supporting potential there. We see Johanna come out from Unstable. There's that big beefy frontliner we were alluding to, and there's few bigger and beefier than Johanna. Li Ming's gonna just park herself in the back and just lob damage into this cauldron of violence that's gonna be popping up every couple minutes or so. So a pretty solid team from Unstable. They've got all the boxes checked, and it's a bit of a big job for Johanna. It's gonna be on her to make sure that she can keep some of the less stout heroes behind her nice and safe. Rhaegar, Li Ming, and I'm not quite sure where Zul stands on the health beefy totem pole ladder, but I can't imagine he's terribly high. So Johanna's probably got some work cut out for her, I would imagine. House of Chez going deep into their stoppage time, trying to figure out who's going to round out this team, and they're going to put all their rests and hopes in Tyrael to defend the damage bomb of Zagara, Kel'Thas, and Thrall with Brightwing backing them up. And that's where we're going to round out. So a good solid draft from both teams. Kind of see a bit of a different strategy thereabouts, but we And we are live, loaded into Infernal Shrines Week 3 Chairleague action. On the side of Unstable in the delightful green giant monster mounts, we have Mystic Shroud on Rhaegar, Chez on Kerrigan, Kerbethian on Zul, Super Dave on Li Ming, and Liquid on Johanna. And for the House of Chez, we have No Dice on Thrall, Flash on Tyrael, Deathicarius on Kel'Thas, Acid Rain on Brightwing, and Chez Mix on Zagara. The gates are down, teams are racing towards inevitable destiny in the middle of the map, and we'll see right off the go that each team is vied not to go straight for the big 5-on-5 brawl that we see so many times on maps like this. See Unstable just waiting and hoping, keeping an eye on House of Chez, hoping that they can make a mistake, but House of Chez probably doesn't see a whole lot of enemy presence on the map, so they're not willing to make any sort of large gamble here with that. We'll see Zagara setting up shop down here in the bottom lane, Kerrigan and her associates rotating down to deal with her. We'll see if Zagara can escape almost certain doom. A big wombo coming out from Unstable, and that's going to be the quick end of Zagara, so we should continue to see this for several levels yet. Unstable rotating between mid and bottom lane, trying to keep that creep wave under control. Meanwhile, on the top, we've got Li Ming trying to hold off Tyrael and Thrall, and doing an admirable job so far. Rhaegar popping up to top off her health. Good communication from Li Ming and Rhaegar there. And so this is what looks like we're going to see. We're going to see this damage burst from Zool, Johanna, and Kerrigan, just trying to get what they can between between mid and bottom. Looks like we might get another takedown here on Kael'thas, and that is going to be what we see. An interesting interaction we can see there from Zool's roots. It prevents Kerrigan's large claw thing from moving the hero as well. So that's it clearly didn't matter in that engagement, but it is something that they'll have to consider. So communication is going to be relevant between those heroes. Both teams at level 3, Unstable on the cusp of 4 as we start this first shrine for an Arcane Punisher. Unstable just going entire whole ham on these traveling hobos, ratcheting up to just about 15 before House of Chez is even in position to deal with it. And looks like House of Chez might just be totally surrendering this one. They're not entirely outgunned here. Kerrigan is completely out of mana. But Li Ming's going to be there to discourage any heroes from coming in. And a nice combination between Li Ming's Orb and Johanna's Condemn to group all of those hobos together and maximize output to get this Punisher as quickly as possible. So this is should be taken down fairly quickly. There's a lot of damage present from House of Chez to remove this fairly quickly before Unstable can get down through the wall. One tactic you often see teams do is they'll try and go for these side walls here, just to get in there and gain access to where the Punisher is doling out damage, because through all that, Unstable doesn't have an enormous lead after the first Punisher. They're both tied at level 6. Mad credit to Thrall and Zagara for keeping House of Chez in contention for experience during that whole fight. So we're going to exit that with House of Chez down a wall and a couple towers, but otherwise not really that far behind. So good defensive hold. That being said, though, they'll need to avoid any more of these rotating takedowns from Unstable. It's going to be important that House of Chez can keep an eye on their location, which is going to be hard when Unstable's hiding in the bushes just waiting to catch Brightwing out of position. And that Kerrigan combo followed up by Zool is just going to do it. That's going to be the end of Brightwing. And House of Chez is going to have to play fairly cautiously. The roaming death ball plan works only really if you can get takedowns. If you're sitting in a bush waiting, that's an opportunity that you're forfeiting to be on the map. So that's so far it's been paying off for Unstable. They maintain a small experience advantage, and we'll see how that continues to pay off as the game progresses. Both teams picking up the mercenary camp here in the mid lane. They should have plenty of support from the other team to take it out fairly quickly. So looks like Unstables might be able to get some damage done here at the wall, but I imagine there's not going to be a whole lot accomplished there with the shrine popping up nearby. Another big combo coming out. Not quite going to be enough to take Thrall out. He manages to avoid the stun, so that's going to keep his health pool way higher than it would have been otherwise. So we should have a fairly good engagement. 4-on-3 on Death's Door in the pit. Big Johanna burst is going to not be enough to keep Kerrigan out of harm's way, and that living bomb just spreading round and round and round, responsible for a lot of the damage in that fight. And with Kerrigan gone, that's going to give House of Chez carte blanche to take out as many of these minions as they can. And I don't think Kerrigan's going to make it back. She may make it back in time to see the end of it, but an excellent flame strikes from Kael'thas, just taking out minions very efficiently. Credit to House of Chez for grouping up the minions to maximize the value of that. You don't want to waste flame strikes just taking out 1 or 2. If you can get like 5 or 6 for your money, that's what you want to be doing for sure. So House of Chez almost in command of this Mortar Punisher. Unstable desperately trying to stop them. Unstable does have a full level lead at this point, so if they can just hold on long enough, they should be able to completely prevent House of Chez from getting any big damage from here, but it looks like they're just going to be a little bit short of level 10. So House of Chez should be able to do an appreciable amount of damage with this first Punisher from their team. But realizing, I guess, their status on the experience bar, you don't see a big push from House of Chez. You see them rotating around, trying to get some experience. You see a big pressure here down in bottom with Brightwing and Zagara. 10s are active for Unstable. We see a House of Chez not too far behind there. Heroics coming out. Big rotation coming down against Brightwing and Zagara, but Zagara is far enough back that she should survive this. Cleanse burn to get her out of the Kerrigan peril, but I say she's almost out of this, but not quite. Brightwing doing everything she can to keep Zagara going, and while they keep Zagara alive, they do lose the bottom fort. Liquid will rocket forward in experience, about a half-level lead. Meanwhile, up in the top lane, Thrall and Li Ming are having their annual duel in the top lane. Just kind of throwing stuff at each other, having a grand old time. House of Chez pick up their mercenary camp for the second time. Unstable right behind them. These camps should once again meet in the middle, and you can tell that both teams are fairly experienced at this map. They've got a good sense of what timing is when. Last time you saw them take the camp just about 15-20 seconds before the shrine popped, or before the shrine location was indicated. Meanwhile, we've got Thrall in a bit of a bind here, trying to race back to his teammates. Brightwing humping in to get out. Thrall manages to dodge the combo, and Unstable run into a full 4-ball of House of Chez picking up their mercenary camp. And this is going to do a great deal of work for them as they manage to secure it for the top lane while the shrine spawns in the bottom. So this is a very fortunate turn of events for House of Chez. Unless Unstable sends 1 or 2 heroes up to deal with that camp, it's going to get a fair bit of damage done while heroes contest this shrine. So we see Thrall getting things started with Li Ming backing up. Tyrael trying to find some sort of position. It looks like his position has been noticed by Unstable. You saw some danger pings there. If they didn't know before, they certainly know now. Unstable already with a 23 minion lead. Here comes the damage output from Li Ming. Not quite enough to get a takedown. Zagara, quite low health, but not as low as Kerrigan, who just obliterates herself down. But followed by Zagara, 4v4. But Rhaegar's going to get chased out of this, and I think he's barely... No, he's not going to survive. That last-minute route from Thrall is going to secure the takedown. But only 5 minions to go for Unstable. The Orb managed to take out 1, but Li Ming's at such low mana, I don't think she's going to have what she needs to get the rest of these. And so, despite being down 4, I think House of Chez may be able to wrench this away from the clutches of Unstable, but 36-25, not quite yet. Health dropping really low on Flash. Tyrael, the big frontliner, out of mana, not much there, and Unstable do manage to pick it up. And I think that's largely due to the mana pools of several heroes on House of Chez. They just couldn't continue to follow up with what they had available. So that during all that, I'm not sure if somebody cleaned up the camp or if it just died due to natural minion causes. But top lane is at equilibrium, nothing really coming out against that. Punisher hops over the bottom keep wall. It's eroding fairly rapidly, so once again, there may not be a whole lot that House of Chez can do to stop this. A big eruption of damage is going to immediately take out Brightwing and Thrall, so it's a 5-on-3, and Unstable will certainly get this keep for free, and possibly more, as they've got about 15 seconds to do whatever they want on the map, and it looks like they're just going to trash the joint and walk out of there. Pick up another fort on the way out. Both teams back to 5 heroes at a time. And Zagara, wisely realizing that she has no business trying to contest this full force of Unstable by herself or even with 1 or 2 allies, gets this top mercenary camp, but must surely sense that something very bad is coming for her, as we see a full rotation out from Unstable She will make it to her Nidus Worm well within time, and this is the big threat from Zagara. If she can maintain creep, if she can maintain her network in at least a couple lanes, she can do quite a bit. Zool trying to punish that mobility, but it's going to get punished himself. There's a lot of damage just bullets out from House of Chez, and Zool's barely going to escape, but no, Sundering is going to deal a lethal blow. And so it's going to be a 1-0 in favor of House of Chez, and we start to see this swinging back again. It looked like Unstable had a commanding presence on the map, but it just takes one takedown, and that can change the whole game for the next few minutes for sure. So another good set of timing from House of Chez. They will pick up this bottom camp that'll push while the Shrine is active in mid. Meanwhile, we have a mercenary camp going on in the top lane. It should do some fairly notable damage to that top fort, but it may yet be standing. It looks like Zagara is going to go deal with that. A lot of damage coming out to clean up that the mercenary camp here in bottom as the Shrine activates. And no one from House of Chez in position to start it. Kerrigan's gonna go it alone, but this may not end well for her as we see a big rotation just charging in from House of Chez. Teriel doing what he can to keep her in place, but looks like she's gonna live to dive another day. Copyright Terraspaz 2016. Big Sanctification's coming to come out and keep Teriel and Associates alive. A massive Ancestral's gonna keep Kerrigan going, and damage is just flying all over the place, but still no takedowns. Teriel at low health, effectively out of the fight. Thrall's gonna follow suit. Kerrigan at low health, and it's credit to the Warriors and supports for keeping everybody standing and everybody at low health knowing when enough is enough and getting out. So Fountain's still available, so House of Chez will be able to regroup on this and should be able to re-engage. Still not an incredibly high minion count for Unstable. It is above the 30 now, but they're in full retreat. They're going to have to rely on throwing damage in from Li Ming to try and pick this off. A big, nice blink from Brightwing to keep herself alive outside of that Kerrigan bomb, but that's not going to save her allies as Thrall's going to fall, followed soon after by Teriel. And what can Teriel get a takedown from this? Big damage on Kerrigan, but not quite enough, and it's going to be a 2-0 in favor of Unstable with a Punisher as the reward. And so if you'll remember when Unstable was coming out of that bottom keep they picked up, they blew out this fort on the way out, so this Punisher is not going to really hit any major speed bumps as it comes in for this keep in the mid lane. And Teriel and Thrall are just going to spawn just a bit late to be here when this fight starts, so House of Chez is going to have to play really carefully, because if they get any substantial takedowns without something in exchange, they might be looking at just a straight-up game loss here. Punisher at fairly low health, and it looks like Unstable's not willing to press the matter much further, as they're just trying to poke out this keep. It looks like they're not going to get it. House of Chez in full assault mode. Sanctification's going to keep several members of House of Chez alive. They're going to be able to take out Kerrigan under the divine grace of Diablo God. I wish I'd played that series. It sounds like a lot of fun. And they're going to get, and they're going to hold. They're going to get the defense they needed. Zagara's going to go back to work applying pressure to other places on the map. And this whole game, it seems like House of Chez has been able to respond to threats from Unstable, but they haven't managed to produce a large, notable attack of their own. All the forts and all the keeps of Unstable are still standing, so House of Chez, while only down a level, needs to win and decisively win an engagement fairly soon, or this constant catapult pressure from bottom is gonna cause them a lot of problems. Rotation from Unstable up to the top lane, trying to catch this Kael'thas and Brightwing and Zagara. Not a lot appealing potential. Brightwing's going to have to blink out of the way, but not quite enough as the damage just obliterates her instantly. And that's likely going to be the end of Kael'thas too, and if Zagara's not careful, she's going to be next on the chopping block. But she's going to wisely retreat, and it looks like this looks like a pretty grim situation for House of Chez. If Unstable wanted to press the matter here, they could certainly get this keep possibly more than that, but it looks like they're looking to just play it safe. They know how games are lost at this point, and they don't want to have any part of that. And so this is... You could argue that this is a favorable or unfavorable position for the Shrine spawn if you're House of Chez. On the one hand, it's in the top lane, which means that you have a lot of buildings in the way. It's unlikely the Punisher is just going to instantly take out your core. On the downside, it draws your attention away from bottom lane, which is going to keep getting pressure from catapults, and it's going to be difficult to respond to that. Kel'Thas and Brightwing spawning back at home. They're not going to... I don't think they're going to be able to make it in time to respond to this Arcane Punisher, but their allies doing what they can. They have total vision on Unstable, so they know exactly what they're walking into, and what they're going to do is just unload a whole bunch of damage on Zul, but it's not going to quite be enough as Ancestral totally restores him, and this Sanctification is just the only response they have to the onslaught of Kerrigan, but they do take her down, but I don't know if that's going to save the rest of their team as they're at critical health. Tyrael is taken out in hot pursuit and should get this Li Ming as revenge, so a 3 for 3 in favor of nobody, because 3 is the same number as 3. But during all that, Unstable did manage to secure the Punisher, who's currently going exactly ham on some buildings, while we continue to skirmish here in the mid lane, or here in the middle of the top lane. Thrall, caught a bit out of position, is just going to eat laser beam damage for a bit, manages to keep Rhaegar away long enough to save himself. At least for the moment. Somewhere on the map Kel'Thas died. I'm not quite sure why that's coming in now. It seems like it happened quite some time ago. Thrall does manage to get taken out, and once again House of Chez should be able to hold here just by virtue of nearly all the damage on Unstable just now respawning. So the only immediate threat they have to deal with is this Punisher in terms of damage. And Kel'Thas Sagara should clean this up fairly well. And may even save the keep from this. The level 20 is available for Unstable. It's going to be a little bit for House of Chez. And if before it would have been really nice of them to win a fight, to get back in the game, now they absolutely have no margin for error. They need to survive until level 20, engage, and win decisively. They have a good thing going, waiting for Kerrigan to pop her Maelstrom ultimate, and then rely on her dive and use Sanctification to just unload damage while she gets no restoration from her shields during that. And that seems to be working as a short term, but they gotta continue to follow up, because during all that they're just taking tons of damage from Zul, tons of damage from Li Ming. And this is the engagement they were electing to take. It's a bit early, not quite level 20 available. Sagara manages to barely hold on. But just a ton of damage coming out from the side of Li Ming and Kerrigan. Sanctification is going to briefly keep everybody alive, but not quite enough as they just tear apart House of Chez. And Unstable is on a one-way ticket to Core Town. Population, Johanna, Li Ming, Zul, Kerrigan, and Rhaegar. And so they will fairly easily clean up this core, and with it they will take round 1 and the only round of this match on Chairleague. Very non-stop action from both teams. And now I can enjoy my beverage. And I mean, so many times that went back and forth. Unstable managed to get those early takedowns to set themselves up to continue doing that rotation between mid and bottom, but House of Chez had the correct response. Once they saw what was happening, they managed to just maintain a presence in every lane. They didn't try to push real hard. They just kept a body there, threw out some damage, and did enough to continue even catching up on experience, and in some cases passing them. But unfortunately, that just damage onslaught from Kerrigan and Li Ming was just too much for House of Chez to deal with. And I wonder how that would have gone if they'd had another big stout frontliner. I know Tyrael can do a great deal of effort, moving his allies out of harm's way and holding the ground in one spot. But I wonder if they just had somebody with a larger health pool. I mean, no one else on his team could really withstand, single bursts from Li Ming, single bursts from Kerrigan, and I think that might have been a lot more even if they'd had somebody else that could just stand up to all that damage. But nonetheless, a very good match from both Unstable and House of Chez. We saw hotly contested shrines throughout the map, and House of Chez held on. They defended every point except for the last one, and that's a bit unfortunate for them. And so, unfortunately, there is only one W to award, and today that W goes to Unstable. Congratulations to them, and good luck to both teams in Week 4 of Chairleague. My name's Terraspaz, and I will see y'all in the next